This is a meeting of the Little County Board of School Directors. This is a live in-person meeting taking place here in the public in accordance with the Sunshine Act. By attending and or commenting publicly in this meeting, you're consenting to bring your attention to the future viewing of this meeting. Carrie, can you call the roll?
Yep. Larry Brennan. Here. Al Ressler. Here. Stephen Yerger.
Here.
Nick Lovell.
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We now recognize members of the public who have signed up to provide comment as stipulated in policy 903. When your name is called, please approach the podium, state your name, confirm you're a resident or taxpayer in the district, and your topic of discussion for the record. Please direct your comments to the board as a whole, not to an individual, and we ask that you limit your comments to 5 minutes or less. The privilege to speak may be interrupted, revoked, or a recess of the meeting may be called by the chair if the speaker fails to observe reasonable decorum and orderly conduct. Thank you. And our only speaker tonight is Wanda Barthel.
Hi everybody, Wanda Barthel. I'm a Littlestown taxpayer. Now I've been coming to these meetings for about 3 years, and I have to say, even though there's some bickering in here, you guys are good people. I enjoyed it. I will say there is a lot of, you know, I need to calm down a little bit. What I wanted to talk about, I took these notes last week and they're jumbled. Really, we've been taxed enough with the new school, with that. I would love to see the $600,000 track and the fields all fixed up. From what I heard at the meeting before, how many times are we going to do that? I think I saw that $700,000 for the softball fields and then another $700,000 for the track, and we're talking about another $600,000. How much are we spending on all of this stuff? I would really like to know that. There's a lot going on here. We also have, and I'm sorry that Brian left, because as long as I've been coming and what I know, the ACTI has been in the works for about 7 years. We don't have land. We don't have a building. We don't know what programs they're going to have there. Before you start raising my taxes for that, and believe me, I'm a big career person. I truly believe we need it. But for God's sakes, give me some plans. Give me a deadline. Let me know when is it going to happen and why are you taking money now? And I get all it. But gosh, you got to have a little more. Get some land. A piece of land would be great right now to know where it's going. Give us a break for a minute. So, and I want to thank Janelle. Don't mind, please forgive me for jumping around. And I know I'm not supposed to. Just 2 certain members that asked for a hold off on the Chromebooks. I appreciate it. I mean, any little place, when I do my budget at home, check in everything. And I think you should do that here. You're using our money. Thank you for bringing up that you're all taxpayers, but I don't know how many are retired taxpayers, which is a totally different level than you and me. It means something different. And in Littlestown, we have a lot of older people here, a whole lot of them. We need to be a little more thoughtful, and I have to say, I saw that tonight. This meeting was run so much more organized, without the yelling and the bickering and the stuff that goes on at some of the other meetings. It's very sad. We're kind of concerned how much we are going to, everything's still up in the air. I'm so glad you put some things off before you voted on tonight. Again, back to the taxes, the 1 to 3% on ACTI, the 1 to 3, maybe even 5% on whatever we need here. to raise our taxes. This is gonna be an expensive place to live. So, I'm not against any of this, you know, I just would like to have more clarity. Also, the air conditioning and heating system over at ACES. Now, I worked at NC State, North Carolina State University, and I spoke to one of the building maintenance supervisors down there. There's usually a report that's done on the repairs that you perform and how much you're actually spending on those repairs versus replacing that. There should be some, do we have anything like that? Is there a report that I guess Victor would give us? We've spent this much money on the repairs. It's gonna cost this much money to replace it. I think there's something that goes, and Victor probably would understand what I'm trying to explain. But anyway, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see how much, anywhere we can save some money, and I'm for the pushback. It isn't dead yet, and we've spent a lot of money this year, and looks like we want to spend more money for up until 2028, so that's it, But thanks for listening, and thank you, the Finance Committee, for how well that meeting went, and it was very pleasant. It's a shame the reporter isn't here to see how you all handle a meeting versus some other meetings we had.
Thank you.
So, thank you all.
All right, Dr. Berryman.
So tonight, I had mentioned this during the comp planning presentation that I would be bringing this agreement to you, that we were pursuing an agreement with Harrisburg University of Science and Technology, and really because, excuse me, some of our college and the high school courses were having, or our high school courses were having trouble getting approved in Del Valle or HAC, where Harrisburg University does align more to our science and math, upper math curriculum. So I provided, I think this is their place for just, so this agreement is for 5 years. And it really just allows us to enter into an agreement where we provide them our syllabi. Generally, they'll ask us for 1 or 2 of our assessments to make sure that our rigor aligns with their rigor and their standards, that we're in alignment, and then they would approve our course and our teachers to teach it here at the high school. So this is an agreement. The gentleman that I'm working with works for Harrisburg University. He's actually a retired administrator from Carlisle who now works for Harrisburg University. It's a pretty standard agreement. This one is for 5 years, and really just allows us to just keep enhancing our education or academic up at the high school. So I would ask the committee's recommendation to move this forward to the whole board. I fixed that on the last one. I fixed that. I don't know why. It says I'm the superintendent. I have fixed it. Carrie and I have fixed this document. I don't know how many times, so we're not sure. At the very, very bottom. Carrie's like, on something else, I said, hey, this needs fixed, and she goes, I fixed it. And I'm like, I know, but it's not showing up. So we will get it. Or we'll change my name and have Tim sign it. One or the other.
Something we don't know about Tim.
No. So anyway, I would just ask for the recommendation to go to the full board to get another avenue for our students to get some more college and the high school experience, especially in some of our STEM courses.
Any questions on the agreement? Everyone in favor of moving forward?
Yes.
Thank you, I appreciate it. And just so you're aware, if you're not up to date, so we have an agreement with Del Valle, and we also have one with HAC, and now this one, now Harrisburg University. And I will tell you, if you're not aware, especially if you're newer to the board, all of our courses are not, that we're getting college and the high school approved, are not just for like the highest academic kids. So I'm sorry that I paused for a second. Did somebody steal my painting out of my office?
No.
Okay, anyway, I'm like, wait a minute, that's mine. Like, wait a minute, I think I purchased that. Anyway, donated, donated. Sorry, in any case, so like we have an intro to business course, we have accounting, public speaking, drama, so we have a number of courses that are a nice pathway for any level of our students to get that college experience at high school. So just in case you didn't know that. Okay, so thank you for moving that forward. So policy-wise, we just have a few here this evening. The first one is policy 234, pregnant parenting and married student. We actually had sent this one to our solicitor. We had some really antiquated language in it. PSBA had some updated language, so we really just wanted their input on this. And so they, really guided us on this new policy that you have before you. So we selected the appropriate selections under the guidelines for what we provide here to make sure that our students can access all of our curriculum and our programs, and that they are not denied anything that they should not be denied. And I will say in our older policy, we also had in there that we could assign kids to alternative education if they were expecting, and that is not legal. So we removed that. You can't change a student's placement based on pregnancy. So we have that removed. Any questions on policy 234?
No, just to clarify, this is one we had.
Mhm.
We just had to update some of the language.
We just had to, really just update the law. Policy 249, there were not any changes in policy 249. The only change is that we added outside of the school setting. So if there's bullying or cyberbullying going on outside the school setting, but it's severe and pervasive, and it's impacting in the school, so that was added, and that was part of the PSBA language. And then, again, all the appropriate selections that are in line with our current LASD policy. So really no major changes in that. Any questions? Okay, 251, students experiencing homelessness. The big change in that is that they really just updated this policy to also include foster care and students that are experiencing educational instability. So they've moved around a lot, or they're a military child moving around a lot. So really just providing some safeguards for foster care and educational instability students. And made some of the appropriate selections under students discharged with foster care. So there are times where foster care students are adopted, which may change their school district, or are returned to the home family, which could also change their district. So our selection is to keep them for the semester and not have them pay tuition to remain here, which is in their best educational rights or decision. So any questions on that? So under the foster care and educational instability, that's all law. That's all new guidance and laws. Dating violence, pretty much the same policy as that we had under PSBA, just that we report when a student's behavior is, if it's of dating violence, that it still goes to our threat assessment team. So we use our threat assessment team just to make sure that we are assessing any risks. So anybody reported for dating violence would also go through the threat assessment team. And then in our policy, we have the nurse as somebody that it can be reported to. So we wanted to keep that in as an option as well. So you'll see that we added that, and that's why that's highlighted. Any questions on that?
Yes, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes this can be weaponized, where somebody would make an accusation to somebody just to weaponize it, and then, go through all the litany of stuff that you have to go through an investigation and everything else. And I guess the professionals, they have a way of kind of weeding that out.
Mm-hmm.
And so that they can kind of make a determination early on that this individual is actually
students from military families that move into our district, and it just makes sure that we provide them with the education, some of the other safeguards it provides. So if they move in their junior, senior year, and this is our list of graduation requirements, because they've moved as a military family, they may not be able to meet all of our requirements. That wouldn't keep them from graduating with us. So we would come up with a detailed plan to make sure they could still graduate, even if they don't meet all of our graduation requirements because of moving. So, and I think when Nick and I met, he goes, do we ever get this? I'm like, yes, because we are so close to DC and Fort Detrick, and so sometimes parents will move into a smaller community like ours, and then, you know, the person then travels to work. So we do, from time to time, get military.
So this document basically is something that provides a different standard from a different district or a different state. It makes it so you can kind of put something together and still meet the minimum requirements.
Yes. Yeah. It wouldn't negatively impact the student.
Right.
Yeah. Any other questions on the policy?
If there are any questions on the policies, is the committee in favor of moving it forward to the full board?
Yes.
All right. Is there any new business to be brought before the committee?
I just had a question for Dr. Ehrman. Have you been able, I know the meeting that we had was about, I think the last meeting was 2 weeks ago, where you updated about the 2 schools that you guys were gonna go take a look at, or
That we visited?
that visited, or have you been able, have you been in touch with them? Have you been
Well,
able
we
to make that
visited,
connection?
I will say, so we went last Thursday morning to one of the elementaries at Southwestern School District, West Manheim, and then yesterday we spent all day at Dillsburg Elementary, and really looked at a number of different things. But I will say that Mr. Moran and I have not had a chance to debrief and really fully vet everything that we saw and heard. So I would love to give you a report, but I don't want to do that without he and I sitting down and looking at and really listening to what we took. Dr. Mitchell and I spoke this afternoon a little bit. I shared with him some of the things that we saw. Some of the things were really validating in our thinking and our planning that we're doing. And then there were some other areas where it's like, okay, like we're doing some things that are really, like we're on the right path, but then there are some things that we need to really take a hard look at. So, and both of those schools that we went to are doing well as far as like SSA academic, K-2, hitting that structured literacy piece, just starting the implementation of that and having some guidelines of how they're doing that. So it was very helpful, very beneficial.
I'm fine with that. I was curious if you made contact. And
Yeah.
happy to hear that.
Yes, we did.
Proceeding forward. That's great. Thank you.
Any other business?
Just briefly, just touching on, you mentioned literacy. The national average is at least 40% of fourth graders and eighth graders cannot read, or they might be able to read, but they are not understanding what they're reading. And that's really a concern across the board. Again, I go back to library would be a good time to incorporate something a little better instead of spending the entire time on the computer. Maybe, you know, have a student read a paragraph, and then they're asked, what are you getting from that paragraph? Just things like that, so you could see at what level they're at, because it really is concerning that kids nowadays can't do, math or read and comprehend what they're reading.
I don't, only that, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know Mrs. Fink's background. So as a librarian, she may not be a reading specialist. So I'm just curious, like she has lessons that she does at every different grade level, and then some of it is also incorporated incorporating the digital media aspects of it and digital citizenship. So I'm honestly not sure what that would look like in library. So I'm intrigued by that. I'm really curious and intrigued by that, so.
I mean, if you can just kind of
Yeah, I
put
took
some
some
feelers
notes.
out there and see.
Yeah, I don't wanna make assumptions about what Linda's background is, so, I'm intrigued, and that leads me to some questions that
Or we could
I'll ask.
brainstorm some other way to do something like that. Like
I will
said,
say, again, without going too far with, we did hear a couple of different, Mr. Moran and I have been talking about, different ways to utilize reading specialists or some of our interventionists and what that might look like. And trying to really structure out that time. But again,